Welcome to Building Smarter Projects, a podcast dedicated to the ever-changing world of construction and technology. I'm your host today, Brad Birck, and we are taking this podcast to new heights. Can I get any higher? I'm excited to be joined by our Vice President of Safety and Quality, Calvin Clark, and I'm also excited to be joined by our first partner guest, Chad Lingerfelt from Werner, who is their Director of Training for North America. So thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Brad, for having us today, and it's my honor to be here.
So, we all get ready in the morning and start our day, and I'm sure all of us are in different stages in life, and so I'm still in the stage of pouring cereal and the hectic nature of getting everyone out the door to school. And so my children, they were asking me this morning, I said, are you in town today, Daddy? And I said, yep, I'm in town today. They said, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm filming a podcast. And my daughter, who's 12, said, what? You have a podcast? I said, yeah, we're famous now. And of course, that's tongue in cheek, but we love what we're doing here. And she said, well, who are you interviewing today? And I said, well, you know how we watch the NCAA tournament and we all get excited and we love watching those teams and everything. And at the end, the winning team gets to climb up that beautiful ladder to the top and cut down those nets, and how exciting it is. And she said, yeah, I know that. I said, well, that company that makes those ladders also makes fall protection, and I get to interview one of their guys today and talk about all that fun stuff. So, Chad, with that, talk about how Werner went from creating the best ladder, crafting the best ladder on the market, to keeping people safe once they get to those heights.
So here at Werner, we've been now for over 100 years, we've been making ladders. So we've got people to safe distance in the air, if you will, safety, and get them up there and keep them safe while they're there. So we always wondered how we can continue that process once they climb that ladder, right? We came out in 2010, we came out with the idea of trying to go to our customers like you, end users, distribution, to say, what is the main issue with fall protection whenever you think about fall protection? So then in 2010, we created a committee. For 2 years, we went out and asked all the hard questions, what it is. And number one was a fall protection plan. How do you get someone down when someone takes a fall? We usually don't think about that. We just usually think about the fall. So when that happened, we started thinking, okay, how can we design something to do that? And take that. There's a lot of chaos. When someone falls on a job site, there's a lot of chaos. The person's screaming, they're hurting, and I want to get down. So our engineers and team went to work, and that's when Chair in the Air was created. It takes that chaos away, allows you to stay calm and be able to communicate, and actually sometimes direct your own rescue from hanging there. And it's pretty cool when you think about that. So it took about 2 years. July 2012, we came out with the first Chair in the Air, and since then, every product we've made has had Chair in the Air or some form of that.
And think about back in the day when there wasn't fall protection, when I suffered my fall, fall protection, you had a safety belt. But the other thing that I want to add,
so you're telling me when you first started, you had nothing to keep you safe at height?
You had a safety belt is all you had.
Is that like just a normal belt?
Just a belt that wrapped around you that you would tie into something.
So if you fall, you're just like,
yes,
instantly.
Yes.
So it's either going to snap your back,
cut
you off.
Absolutely.
Jeez.
But the big thing that I think on the Chair in the Air that, we need to get people to understand, okay, if you don't have the Chair in the Air, okay, we're talking about trauma straps and how difficult they are to use. But think about a person that is using fall protection and they fall. What's their first thought? I'm going to die, right?
Panic.
The panic sets in, and then you've got to try to put those trauma straps on, and they are a pain when you're trying to put them on. But for us to deliver the message about Chair in the Air, where you got to slide it underneath you and you sit there and talk to them, people don't realize how important and what a significant move this is in the industry to keep our people safe. I mean, a fall is scary, I mean, I don't care who you are. If you're falling, you've got one thing in mind: I'm going to die. And so the chair in the air is to me is just the greatest thing. That's one of the main reasons that Enerfab is with Warner now, because of the chair in the air.
Wow.
Chad, how about talking about a little bit about what it will do to the body without the chair in the air, with the old way of doing fall protection?
So, blood flow is very important, right? I mean, and when you take a fall, your femoral arteries is cut off. So it's a big deal. And that, after a few minutes, that can become a pretty big deal because the blood starts coagulating and then things happen to your blood. And then once that's released, it can throw a blood clot to go to your heart. So with chair in the air and with trauma straps for a short time, you can relieve that. But with chair in the air, we've had a guy to sit there for 69 minutes, as you know, in Miami, in the least expensive harness we have, which is what we call compliance in a bucket. And that guy went home at the end of the day. I don't recommend that, just so everybody knows. I think you should always go to the doctor or hospital if you take a fall and you're in something for 69 minutes. But that guy was physically at work the next day with being able to do that. And was able to, once again, talk to the people, help get him down. And he was 7 stories up because you couldn't get to him by a ladder by a fire department. So they actually had to come from the top, rappel down, and get home safely at the end of the day. Here at Warner, that's the key thing, getting home safely at the end of the day. Just like we have with our ladders for over 100 years.
Right.
Since 2012, that's what we try to do with our fall protection.
And that's why we're aligned so well. I mean, that's our mission as well. Everyone needs to go home safely every day, go home better than how you came to work. And there's a lot of aspects of that, but keeping people safe and the unfortunate, situation where there is an accident, somebody does fall. It sounds like the old technology actually created another safety incident, another injury basically by having the straps cut off that blood flow. So maybe you made it out of the fall. Now you have a whole nother set of challenges that could present itself.
And one of the things too, Brad, until chair in the air, I mean, if a person suffered a fall, then you had 12 to 15 minutes to get them down and get them to safety, or their blood would.
You'd be lucky to get a
completely
crane
cut
over
off.
there in that amount of time.
Absolutely. And that's the importance of this chair in the air, and just getting that message out to not only our people, but out to the industry about how important it is, because rescue is one of the struggles that we have on our job sites.
Right.
And I mean, that's not just us, it's all across the industry.
Well, and I think a lot of people that deal with it every day know this, but a lot of people might not realize that falls is still the leading cause of accidents and death on a construction site to this day. It accounts for over 30%, more than 30% of the fatalities that we experience in the construction industry come from falls. So your product is literally saving lives every day. Well, hopefully not every day, but when there's an incident.
Just watch the news. You read about it almost daily, about somebody that suffered a fall on a job site somewhere.
Yeah. And OSHA has fought this for years. I mean, it's been number one every year except one when that's when the MSDSs and everything came out to help with that. So when we think about being number one, right, and that's when we started in 2012, trying to reduce that number, helping people go home at the end of the day. But then also number 7 now is training. So we have 125 trainers plus every day out in the field that can come and train every day.
So you're managing a team of 125 people out there training?
I have 5 directs and then over 120 who are non-direct.
That's impressive. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's our agencies who go up and help us do that each and every day, and we're very grateful for them. And once again, home at the end of the day. That's what we're trying to do to help with that.
Well, what's interesting to me on that front, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, that's not putting profit in Warner's pocket per se. You think about a big organization, you guys are out there training people on how to use your products. That's not necessary. Of course, you're going to sell product because people get to see it. But at the end of the day, you're doing that because you want to keep people safe. I mean, that's amazing.
And very important to us. Once again, that's the top of our list, making sure people's dreams come true, because if they don't go home, their dreams are not coming true.
That's right. That's why we all work. I mean, I talk about my kids to start the podcast. I mean, at the end of the day, that's why we're trying to stay safe. That's why we work every day, is to take care of our families and make sure we can go to those, soccer games and those ballet recitals and everything that goes in between.
And that's the reason we want to partner with companies like Warner. I can pick up the phone, I call Chad and I say, hey, Chad, I need 2 people to come and train my staff at a West Virginia site at a John Amos. Chad will be on the phone within 10 minutes. He'll call back and he'll say, Calvin, he said, the guys are on their way. So, I mean, it's just been unreal. And the relationship, and we started this relationship probably 10 years ago that Chad and I started talking about this. And, you know, we gradually in 2025, we went 100% leading edge fall protection. And, you know, we took out of service everything else. And we spent millions of dollars. And the dollars is not the important part of all this. We wanted to make sure that we had a system in place that when our people get in fall protection, that we can get them down and get them to safety without any problem. Now, sometimes the twin leg retractables, some people will complain that they're a little heavy, but hey, at the end of the day, that's okay because we know that we're doing the right thing to keep them safe and they're going home to be with their families.
Well, and I gotta imagine you use John Amos as an example, or a customer of ours, American Electric Power. I'm sure they appreciate that too. When we go out there and Warner's partnering with us, bringing that next level of safety to their job sites, I know that's a big deal for them as well.
We had several stand downs this year at AEP plants across the fleet in the Eastern Division.
So the 5 directs I talked about, that's the job site safety and security managers. Their job is to make sure that the customer and the end user is taken care of. Like Jason Prue is the one that takes care of you here at Enerfab. Then I have Angel, which is in New York. Menez, he is fully bilingual, Spanish speaking. Then I have Eric Patrick in Texas. He's also known for anchors, and I can go on and on about that. Then I have Micah in Vegas, who is young but very excited about to go out and do this every day. And then I have Milt Diasis, who is with us up in the Northwest, up in Seattle, who has been doing this with us for a while too. So it's pretty awesome to see their passion, right?
Sure.
Just like your passion here. This is a good time. Passion is the key thing when it comes to safety. We use the word care a lot.
Mhm.
Care is good. I'm not saying it's not, but passion is better in my humble opinion. When you have passion about something, it's going to go above and beyond. Those 5 gentlemen I just talked about have a lot of passion. Your safety director here and a VP of safety here has a lot of passion. And I think that's big time when we talk about people going home, right?
Yes.
A few years ago, I got a call from you and said, hey, we need to, when I say you, I mean you, Enerfab here. Hey, the CEO and Jacob wants to go around and look at your job sites. I flew out. We drove around for 3 days in a car with your CEO and your COO and went around and visited job sites to see how we can help people go home at the end of the day. That's why Warner wants to partner with you, Enerfab, because the passion comes through. It's just not words, it's action.
I think that's really cool. Thanks for mentioning that. And I think that whole idea behind that was we see it every day. Can we get another perspective? Chad, will you join us to help us look at this differently? Because we're looking at this through our lens. Can we look at it through your lens? And I know that trip had tons of benefits. There were things we were able to change just from what you had seen that maybe we were walking past every day. And that's so important to have that different lens, learning, bringing different perspective. I mean, that's what makes this partnership and others work so well is that, at the end of the day, we're all aligned with that same passion and mission to get people home safely every single day.
Been doing this for a while, and we call those safety walkabouts.
Mhm.
And I got that from our Aussie friends
Oh,
in
sure.
Austin. I
Very
love that.
Australian.
Yeah, we go out and we do walkabouts, and we just look. But once again, when people see you, and especially see your CEO, see the vice president out there doing things, that's when it counts. I mean, they're showing you care.
Yes.
And then that's when that passion really comes through.
I love it. The thing you said early on, and I think is very interesting to me, I feel like a lot of times in this world, engineers and companies, they produce a product and then try to put it into the market, right? You guys didn't take that approach. You didn't say, hey, we've invented this, start buying it. You took a different approach. You said, hey, here's this thing that we're seeing. How do we make the best product for the market? And that came through working with people like ourselves. I know Calvin has a safety council that meets regularly, a group of people, and I think stuff came out of that. So you took what you're hearing in the market to make your product. You didn't make a product to shove it into the market, and I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's very important, Brad, because Calvin will tell you that when we come to market with a product, ideas doesn't come from us. It comes from you, the end users. And even when we first bought a harness to Enerfab, it's not the one you wanted. So we had to go back to the drawing board. And
I've heard a little story about that. What happened? Calvin, I heard something like you might have thrown it in the dumpster.
threw it in the
Was that
dumpster.
metaphorical, or did you actually throw it in the
It's
dumpster?
metaphorical.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But my point is, the job you do is way different than a carpenter does every day, right?
Yes.
So we took the time, went back to the drawing board, and made sure our harness would last and be comfortable and be able to be worn on a daily basis. Once again, that's one of our biggest issues. It's getting people to simply wear it and then wear it correctly. And OSHA came out this year with the fit thing. I won't go there, but there's a lot of things when you think about that in a product and launching it. And we have a gentleman who is in charge of a general manager and VP of fall protection. His name is Eric Miller. And since day one, he has always been about training, knowing that that's how we're really going to get into the market and train. And then when we do bring the innovation, you just, once again, as you just said, you just don't throw it in the market. You bring the training with it, and you show people why. Everything we do at Werner for fall protection, there's a reason. There's always a reason for every little thing that we do. It's just not thrown out there. It's thought through with the innovation part, with partners telling us and who are very honest with us sometimes, where it hurts, so honest. But that's the cool part about this, right? When we bring that safety committee together, or that safety team that we have right now, when it comes to we call it the safety summit, to be honest with you.
Okay.
When we bring them together in a room, it's like popcorn. Okay, yeah, that'll work. We got this guy named Scott. Scott says, that's not gonna work, but if you do this, that will work. That's why we think we're successful when it comes to this, especially with innovation. And we love that. We love the commitment you made to let him be a part of our team, to bring new product to market, which does nothing but help all of us.
Right.
Every one of us help people go home at the end of the day.
Rises the whole industry, brings the whole
Right.
industry up.
Sometimes I think they wanted to run me out of the Chicago medium because I was so forthcoming with what we were looking for and being honest with them, what would work and what would not work on our job sites. And in saying that, they went back and they looked at things that I questioned them on, and they made changes to their product. And it's not just because Calvin said that. It was just things that we needed to do and needed to look at, and Werner needed to look at. And that's always been the case with Werner. They ask for us to give them ideas, but that's the great thing about this relationship is we can talk with those guys and they listen, and that means everything to me.
Well, I even learned about some innovation just sitting here this morning, just talking a little bit that it would be so helpful to me on job walks, just around the idea that, the loop on the harness itself, you can't attach to it because it's not a loop actually.
Right.
The fact that it's blue up and yellow down. So if we're out there on the job sites, I know it's a class 2 fall protection based on the yellow. I mean, talk about a little bit of that and how.
So SRLs, yo-yos, it's called different things in the field. So whenever we came to the market, when the industry and ANSI changed the regulation to class 1, class 2, which is well overdue.
Maybe talk about that so people, if you're not aware of what class 1, class 2 means.
Right. So SRLs is what we connect. That's something we connect to the harness, to our anchor point. It's what we're talking about right now. And when we started developing that, we really looked deep in that, several things. Number one, we want to be able to identify when you, Calvin goes on, or you, Brad, go into a job site, you can look within 50 feet, see if someone has the correct one. And what we mean by that, whenever you connect with your SRL, everything rises and falls on the back D-ring. So I'm going to state that first.
Okay.
So if you connect below that back D-ring, it has to be a class 2 because you're connecting below, and just a lot of other fall stuff comes into play. We don't have time to talk about it right now, but would love to come out and train you on that. But then class 1 is when you tie off above that D-ring. Anytime above it, you're good to go with the class 1. But the cool thing about class 2, and specifically ours, is if you take a fall, and this is one of the main reasons that Calvin went with us, I truly believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Calvin, is if you take a fall, even when you're tied off above with the class 2 with ours, you're still going to only fall 24 inches. But if you fall below it, you need 17 foot of clearance and everything. But that yellow's big because you could come in contact with an edge.
Sure.
And that's when you're not going to go home at the end of the day if you have a class 1 on, because it's not been designed or tested to do that. Once again, it's not been designed or tested. It has to be a class 2 for that. Calvin, I'll let you take it away.
And that's one of the reasons, Chad, that we move to all leading edge because that's a challenge out on our job sites, right? The guys need to grab fall protection. They're going up on the unit or something. They're going to be working at heights, but they have to drape over the edge of something. So we took that out of play. That's the reason we went to all class
The idea
2.
that they could choose class 1
Yes.
or class 2, you're saying, hey, we're just doing class 2, period.
We wanted to make it very simple for all of our workers out there that they don't have to there's not a choice. You've got that one. But if you've got it out there, there's too many variables that come into play in having both types on your
Our
job
jobs are too
sites.
dynamic. I
That's
think you
right.
could be starting a
Yes.
task that, maybe class 1 was acceptable for, and then halfway through the day, you move to a different task, and now you need to be, and we all know that the act of going back and changing out and things like that. So I think that's really smart.
Very true.
Let's take it out of play.
That's what we done.
But that's at the same time, it's very costly. That wasn't that was an expensive move for y'all to make. It shows me once again the passion here at Enerfab that you're willing to put the dollars and the action. Once again,
Right.
Safety without action is nothing. So
Yes.
I love that.
Just words.
Yes, just words. So
And we didn't just put it in play. We brung Warner out to do training with our guys as well. Out on our job sites, we've had several of your personnel come around to the different job sites and actually do training, hands-on training with our people. I know we had one down in Western Kentucky when we first started talking about this. We spent 3 days down there doing nothing but fall protection training. And we all know how tough it is down in Western Kentucky
yeah.
to be able to stop a job and get the training completed. And it was just remarkable, the reaction that we got from our employees that are working on that particular facility.
And that was one of my questions. If I asked one of our workers out there, a journeyman, for example, what would they say about this? Do they understand the importance and why? I guess they do, because you do so much training. Without the training, they'd be like, oh gosh, here's another harness. It's heavy. I don't want to wear it. But by doing the training, they understand the benefit and why we do it, and how that can make them safer to go home every day.
And that's a culture we built. We've worked on this. It's an everyday battle, right? I mean, our culture is what we live by, safety and quality in everything we do. And that's what we instill in our people, and our people buy in. I mean, especially on our maintenance sites. I mean, that's the ones that they're using the equipment day in and day out. Now, the outage is a little bit different. They come in for 4 or 5 weeks and work for us, and then, we have to train them regularly. Now, needless to say, we get a lot of repeat employees coming back during outage season, but with all the new facilities that are being built today, I mean, that moves you around. So you've got to have somebody that you can rely on, like Warner, to come out and do that training.
So when I'm in some of your trainings, it's very interesting sometimes to hear the employees, especially what I call new hire. If I've done some of that before, and you come in and, wow, these people really do care about me. Wow, they're putting the talk into action. So I love hearing that. And that, even, you don't know me very well, but that fires me up from the inside. I live and breathe safety. I mean, from day one, that's what I've done, and just in my career. So I mean, it's pretty cool to walk into a classroom and see the excitement. And when you can see, I call it popcorn, when you start seeing the lights come on in the room when they accept what you're putting out because they know you care. But once again, that passion is coming through.
Sure. Yeah, if you're just reading a script, you can't get anywhere. It has to come from the heart.
Right. Or PowerPoint by death. That does not work.
It doesn't. No one relates to it.
Right.
We have a executive vice president in our Midwest region, Daniel Ernest, who talks about that a lot. He's like, if you're going to give a safety message, give one that matters to you. Because if you're just reading off a card, it's just, no one's going to listen. No one's going to take anything out of it. But if you're giving passion into it and you're relating to it, everyone's going to relate to that, and they're going to respond a lot better and listen to what you're doing. You talked about how passionate you are about safety. Let's talk a little bit about you. I know you served, our great country for 20 years in the Air Force. Thank you for that. And you moved through the ranks there, had, I'm sure, a multitude of jobs, and now where you're at today, leading a major team across North America to deliver this safety excellence. So what got you here?
So let me say this first. It's something I get to do. It's not something I have to do. I get to do this, and I hope that comes through in my passion when I talk. So 21 years in the Air Force. I first been in safety now for a little over 40.
Oh,
Getting old.
Well, I didn't
but
mean it like that. It's just you were doing safety obviously well before you even left the military. Then.
so, but no, I really did safety almost my entire career. I started out when things that go boom and weapons and missiles and bombs. That was my first job as a 461 in the Air Force, which you can imagine dealing with different things that could blow up in front of you right there and there. You got to take it very seriously. So I'm a very my wife hates when I say this, but black and white. You know, I'm either here or here. I'm not. There's no in between with me, guys. And it's really hard for me to get to that in between part. So when then I went to that was my first 6 years. Then I went to wheels up to wheels down. That's I went to flying safety, which is when the aircraft takes off before it touches back down. And then my last 12 years was what we call ground safety in the Air Force, is where, just like OSHA, I was responsible. I had whatever the base was. If it's 1,800 people, whatever, that was responsible, making sure they go home at the end of the day.
Wow.
And then overseas, when we went to war, even more, you can imagine on job sites. I keep saying job sites, but in a base where munitions, aircraft's moving, so much happening. So when I look at things, I look at things a little different. Everybody tells me that just because of the way I came up through safety.
Sure.
It's a mission. Everything's a mission. And don't kill me, Calvin, here on this one. Safety can't be first and then the mission. I think they're together. They have to be brought together, you know. And that's when I look at things, you know, because people die if you don't go do the mission, but we got to do it safely. Right. So when you train people and you get them motivated to do the right thing and know they're going home or they want to go home, in Air Force, that was way easier than sometime in the construction sites. But that's where I came. And then I immediately came out. Went to work for a company called Y Pharmaceutical. Had 1,860 people I was responsible for in that for a short while before they got bought. And then I went to work for a company called Insco Supply for 10 and a half years. I did nothing but training. I went out and trained and loved it and sold things through training, making sure people go home at the end of the day. And then I've been here at Werner for over 8 years now. So had a very good career in safety. But once again, I'm that guy when I walk into Walmart and my wife sees the twinkle in my eye and someone's on top of a ladder, she's going to go left because she knows I'm getting ready to go get someone down and get the manager over there and tell them why they shouldn't be doing that.
Thank goodness we have you in the world, because we need more people like you that aren't afraid to speak up and keep people safe. That person might not know they were doing anything wrong. They might not have the training they need.
99% of the time, you're correct.
They just think, hey, I got a job. My boss said to go get this done. I want to do a good job. I'm going to get it done. And that's the biggest problem in everything we do is like, that's great. You got to have passion. You got to pair up with the mission, right? You got to get it done, whatever that the job is, what the mission is, what the goal is, but you got to do it safely. And that comes from people like yourself out there training and teaching. And it's similar to like when I talk about Calvin all the time. Where I think Calvin's been successful, we talked about this in his podcast, he's never the I gotcha guy. It was more about like, hey, man, why are you doing that? Let me teach you the right way to do it. Or, hey, who do you got at home that you want to go home and see? Let's think about this in a different manner. And you obviously have that same passion. We need more of you out there.
Well, you have the same passion as well.
I do.
You know, I can remember you and I, we were traveling together and we were in the Atlanta airport. Remember that one? Tell that story.
Are you talking about the tile cutter guy?
Yes.
On the floor?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, those guys, man, they again, you know, it's after hours and they're trying to put in a new floor in the Atlanta airport. I can only imagine the, just the excitement and everything's going around and buzzing, and they're coming in on night shift. They're moving this heavy. I mean, these slabs they were huge.
Yes.
I mean, they were like, I don't know, 6x8, 4x8 sheets of marble or whatever the heck they were putting down. They looked heavy as could be, and they're moving in position. Well, heck, if they don't have safety glasses on, they don't have ear protection, they're using the grinder to cut.
Right.
And so we politely went up and talked to the supervisor about it, and they went and got their safety protection on. But
and that just goes about how passionate, as you were talking, and the culture that we've built. You know, I don't know how many of our people talk about, hey, my neighbor was out without hearing protection when he was using a weed whacker. He was cutting a tree or something, didn't have gloves or safety glasses on, and we take it to them. Right. And say, hey, here we go. You know, use this. We want to make sure that you don't get hurt.
Well, we're exposed to things that maybe they haven't even seen before. In that situation, I was even thinking about that. You have that one DeWalt tool that sucks down on stuff and you can lift it up. And I was like, man, I wonder if that would help those guys a little bit easier to do their job. They don't even know about that tool, maybe.
It's a DeWalt lifter.
Yeah.
Is what it's called. Yes.
I've actually shown that to a couple other people in our industry that work with fiberglass and things like that to move beams. And I'm saying, hey, you can move the beam with this instead of using, hands and pinch points and things like that. So we are passionate. That's great. I mean, at the end of the day, we're sitting here in a chair and there's people out there doing the hard work, for all of us. So it's our job to make sure they're educated and have the tools and the equipment they need to stay safe. And I think that is our job, to continue to work with people like Werner. What's next? What's the next thing? What's the next evolution that we need to be focused on to keep our workers safe? And as the job sites change, as the work changes, there's going to be new challenges presented. There's going to be different things. I mean, I don't know what it is yet, but as technology continues to grow, you're going to be presented with different. I mean, maybe there's a bunch of robots walking around here before too long. You gotta watch out for the robots. We'll have all kinds of different safety.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, me and Calvin was talking about this. All joking aside, we're getting to the end of our cycle here. As safety people, who's going to replace us? And we was just talking about this, 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago. Yeah. So that's the reason as I talked about, I wasn't trying to downplay Micah in Vegas. I think we need to be hiring younger people and bringing them along with us. I think that's a key part of what we're missing in the industry right now, is making sure we pass it on. We do the next generation to make sure we pass everything that we're doing. And guess what? They might even have a better idea.
That's right.
I mean, so sometimes we downplay that and they might see something completely different. And I think we never can stop developing, stop learning. I was also talking about reading this morning. I think you always need to be reading a book, doing something to keep your mind open and keep it flowing.
Please talk to my 12-year-old daughter about that.
Well, it took me till I was 35, just so she might have a little bit longer to go. So I didn't really start reading until I was 35, to be strictly honest with you.
And now you found the passion.
Yeah. So
lifelong learner. I mean, I think it's important. And I think what you said is interesting, because all of us are shaped to who we are by the experiences that we've had throughout our life.
100%.
Good, bad, and different has shaped us, who we are as individuals. So as you talk about bringing on new people in different areas, different regions with different experiences, heck yeah, they're gonna have different ideas, because you don't know what Micah might have done, growing up. Maybe he was a Boy Scout who witnessed somebody trip on a hike and fall off the side of a mountain. I don't know, but a lot of things that could shape an individual to be passionate or think differently about stuff. I mean, I know, Calvin, you had an experience early in your career that really shaped why you're in safety today, and it was around a fall.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know that was a big deal.
Absolutely. And, and that's most of your safety professionals that's been around for a while, that's the reason they got into it. There was something in their life, there was an event that brought them to the safety team. And I don't know, Chad, how many of you encountered? Probably 75, 80% of them is the reason that they're in safety today, is because that they had some kind of experience on a job site or at home. Some of them even got into it because something that maybe their parents done,
or a family member
got hurt. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So there's just so much, and the passion just goes in. And once you get into safety, that's all you think about. You go to sleep, you live it. I mean, that's basically what it is. And Chad's a prime example. And Chad and I have been buddies for a long time. And I visited him in his home down in South Carolina, and we had some good talks. And, we've laughed a lot together. We've cried a lot together. Just so much that goes into it. But he's like a brother. He's not somebody that works for Werner. He's my friend. And that's just the way that I feel about it.
That's great.
Thank you, Calvin.
So much to talk about in this podcast. I mean, I think we could probably spend 3 hours because of the passion here and all the things. I know one of the things, Chad, that you talk a lot about is the 3 H's. Can you tell us a little bit about what the 3 H's are and what that means?
Well, to me personally, since the beginning, as I said in the Air Force, this is one of my things, is trying to connect the triangle together: your hands, your head, and your heart, which is really your mind, right? Your heart and your hands. So I truly believe when it comes to the hands, you're very skillful. What you guys do is different. It's just different. The dangers you do is very different on a daily basis, what you go out there and do. So the hands part is, we got to have action there. We got to have training, which we've already talked to numerous about. We got to have the correct PPE, which we talk about a lot, the right fall protection, the right tools to do the job. And then once again, the procedures, right? Making sure, and that is and here at Enerfab, what I see, it's habit forming. And if you can get people to do habits in the right way, not the wrong way, doing the right thing when it counts, that's huge.
Like putting on your seatbelt every time you get in the car. So put your gloves on every time and get the right glove.
Right.
Put your
exactly right glove, right? I'm a glove guy too, just so you know. But behavioral safety, when reinforcing that safety, once again, not slamming that person, but asking them why they did that, right? I think that's the better question, and trying to come across with the hammer. Why did you act that way? Why, what was the reason of the acting that way? Coaching them, observing them. I think that's a big one. And empowering them, giving them the authority to do a stop work, which I know they can do here at Enerfab. That's a big one there. When they see something, say something and stop it, right? Big deal. And then the cognitive side of it. And we'll get into the 98 here in a little bit, but understanding the risk, right? Understanding that piece of equipment weighs 16 tons or whatever it may be. And if it falls, you're going to get hurt, right? And then the critical thinking, engaging in situations where you're thinking ahead of time, not in the moment, but ahead of what could happen, with your different daily tasks that you do and your task forms you have to fill out, figuring that out. And then the continuous learning. I think that's the part that we got to do. It just can't. I have a saying also, and you've heard it probably 100 times in baseball. I'm a baseball coach. I love coaching my kids as I grew up. One and done. Hey guys, get this last strike or this last, and it's 2 outs, one and done. There is never, ever a one and done in safety.
Yep.
It's always revolving. All right. Something's always changing, especially with technologies you just talked about. You make a joke about robots. We have a lot of robots in the industry now, so we have to go around. And then the last one, which really connects me and Calvin, I think a lot, is the heart, the emotional side, right? When you think about connecting people, why safety matters, right? Their families, their dreams. I'm a big dreamer. I think dreams is huge. And I think we leave that out sometimes in our passion we're talking about. And then our teammates, right? Our teammates, right?
Yeah.
Not just our family, but doing the right thing for our teammates we work with in every day. Leadership by example is another big one when it comes to heart, showing the genuine care. But once again, that passion has to come through, or people are not going to believe you. It's not just about compliance. It's about making sure people go home. And then the culture. We always say from the bottom up. I think it has to be from bottom up, top down. It has to be everywhere. It just can't be. You just can't make a statement of one and done. So I think that's big. And when we create that, once again, sorry, I'm a mission guy. So when we create that mission and we connect the great work that you do here, and they look back and see what they accomplished, and you have 0 accidents. Wow. That's the wow factor. That's when you connect the head, the heart, and the hands together.
Right.
And we say thank you to them. We make sure we praise them for a job well done, but doing it safely at the same time.
Yeah, you can get a project done early on budget, but if you have a bunch of safety and quality issues, that's not successful.
Right. Not at all.
That's not successful. You should be disqualified.
Yeah.
And Chad, talking about the people, this month of August was Safe and Sound month.
Okay.
It was actually Safe and Sound week, so we made it Safe and Sound month. And what we done, instead of saying, hey, here's what we want you to do, we ask each job site to go out and get with their people and tell them that we want you to bring 3 items to us that we can improve on this month in particular, and put it back on our guys and let them tell us, because they're always hearing from us saying, hey, we need to do this, this, and this. So we wanted to turn it around and say, hey guys, what do we need to do?
Yeah.
Tell us. And we've had great responses so far. I can't wait to get the final results on that. I think it's going to be big.
I think that's so important. I mean, everybody wants a voice, and you just got to give them that platform, because like we talked about before, different perspective, different ideas. They're using the equipment in different environments that, we've all worked, but I mean, we're not in the boiler every day. We're not, anymore. So, hearing from them about how this stuff is really working in a real world environment, and, is it creating other things, or is it helping other things, and just getting that feedback. And so I can't wait to see what it is too. And then we can work with people like Werner to take that to the next level.
So that brings me to policy. Safety is not a policy, in my opinion. It's a promise. If you do this, if you do this, this is the end result, right? It's not just a policy, it's a promise. And what I love about that we can promise every day, but let's work safe, think how safe we can be, and care enough or have the passion enough to be safe, to go home to our families. I think that's just huge, Have a lot of sayings. I'm sorry.
I couldn't say it any better. I think it's a great, if you're going to have a saying, that's a good one.
So perfect. Let's own it and let's go home safe every day, right? You got to own it first. You have to own it first.
You have to. We've talked around it a little bit, and I know you have these chips here, and anyone that's been in the industry for a while, we know about 988, and it's super passionate for you and for others. Talk a little bit about, mental health, how we're dealing with that on the job sites, how that affects what you do every day. And for those that don't know about it, 988 is a great resource for those that, may need a little extra help, or if you don't know how to have the conversation, people can call this 988 number, and there's a lot of examples of people who have gotten the help they needed, and it's a big deal in our industry. I mean, suicide, and we're the number one industry, behind forestry or something like that. So
it's a big deal, and there's all kinds of stats, right? But the number one stat, and the number one still, is where I came from, the military.
Sorry.
Still 22 a day. I mean, in that last month, it was higher than that. So unfortunately, that's where I guess the passion comes from, is that in my heart. And then the second in that arena of numbers would be, unfortunately, you just mentioned it earlier, teenagers 12 to 16. That's number 2 in that area.
Wow.
And then
I know that.
So it's a big, I mean, there's all kinds of stats. And then number 3 would be construction, right? So what I've learned and what we've learned in the industry, a lot of families in construction are a one income family. Okay. Good, bad, or indifferent, however you want to look at that. So if they get hurt, if you talk to them, if they get hurt, who's going to take care of their family? What's going to carry them through? So that's one of the ways I try to use that and talk to people, understanding why you want to put those gloves on, why you want to not just go, it's only going to take 5 minutes, why you need to put that harness on to go do that job, whatever it may be. So it's a big deal. So when you think about 988, you think about mental health, it's not just saying it, it's doing it, right? It's talking about it on the job sites. It's talking about how that. I have a story, and I have lots of stories, I'm sorry, but I have a story where it really touched my heart probably 15 years ago. I had been working with this electrical company every year for years, and I would go do their training annually for them and spend 7 different locations, just multiple times with them, and just talk to them, and it would be an all-day event. And then the last time I did it, at this one location, I went up and I said, I'm going to call him Tom, not real name, but Tom, where's Tom at today? He's been our safety guy for a long time. Why ain't Tom here? And they started talking, and then you could see one of the gentlemen started actually physically crying, all right? Wow. And I went, wow, okay, so there's something deeper here, so I need to get off that subject. I'll come back to it. After that training that day, I found out the reason Tom wasn't there that day, and he was probably one of my biggest fans when it came to communicating safety. Well, Tom had just taken a fall 3 weeks earlier, all right? And not coming back to work. He was 62 years, not going to be able to come back to work, all right? And the reason being, his wife had passed away from the last time I saw him, 6 months prior. And Tom went to work that day, and when he went to work, he didn't communicate what was going on in his life, but his cat had passed away that morning. And what the significance of that is, and this is where the mental health really kicks in, that cat was the last thing that tied him and his wife together. And that day he chose not to put his harness on to do a job that was going to literally take him less than 10 minutes, and he fell.
Because his head wasn't
there. So when it comes to mental health, it might not be the day for that person to go climb, right? And that's why we really got to think that through and understand why. That's the head part, right? And then we connect it with the heart. Trying to figure out and knowing Brad, what Brad looks like when he comes to work. He might be distanced, he might be pulled back or whatever. Knowing our people is so huge. And that story still brings cold chills to me today. I mean, so something so simple, people say it's just a cat. To him, it wasn't just a cat. It was the last memories tying him and his wife together. So when it comes to 988, it can be multiple things. We could say it could be 100 different things.
Sure.
But understanding your people and knowing that you care and you have the passion not to put them in the air that day or run that hammer or whatever needs to be done or whatever, it could be multiple things. So I think that's huge when we think about mental health, making sure that our people know that they don't have to do that job today because I'm not all fit to do that job,
Right.
and understanding that's okay. That's a big thing on here. We put on here, and we have several of these and several different ones. It's okay not to be okay. Your mental health matters. And that's the biggest message when we go out. We always try to do at least 60 to 90 seconds on that when we do our trainings. So pretty big.
That's a big topic right there and a lot into it. But I mean, everyone is dealing with something. Life is not a straight line, and whether it be a family member, a child, a cat, whatever it may be that is important to you or that's changing the way you're thinking. And I think that's such a difference in the industry. I mean, I can remember even when I started 25 years ago, I can't imagine people on the job site talking about that. It would have been like, suck it up and get up there and go to work. It doesn't matter. I told you to get at that height. I told you to grab that hammer. I told you to do whatever. And now we flip the script and it's like, hey, man, you don't look right today. What's going on? You don't have to we can find another task for you.
Right.
So I think just the evolution of our industry is just amazing in that respect. And we got a long way to go. We're not there yet, but there's enough people that at least are talking about it. We got to keep getting that message out. So I think it's important we're talking about it today. And again, anyone that needs help or needs more information, I know they can reach out to anyone sitting here and
Absolutely
get any of that they need.
So I do have one more small thing I want to talk about.
Sure.
So if you don't mind, we have a really good friend.
Yep.
His name is Josh Rizzo.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he's an Army guy. He's not an Air Force guy.
But he can't all be perfect.
I know. So I use him a lot because he uses an Air Force analogy, sort of, to get his point across. And I'm going to tell you that analogy today. He talks about taking care of the pilot. If you don't take care of the pilot, you can't take care of your workers. You can't take care of your family that you met with this morning. You talked about eating cereal with. There's a lot of things you cannot do. So we have to take care of the pilot first. And then with that, we only have so much mental health that we can pass around. So he breaks it down in first class. And I'm not going to use his exact words. This is mine. I sort of taken it and used my own with it. First class is our loved ones, right? That's who I'm going to take care of first, right?
Sure.
Make sure. And then our business class is our teammates, our friends, our church people, our close friends, etc. And then the main cabinet is everyone else. So just remember, we have to take care of ourselves mentally first. And if we're not okay, prime example, I'm going on vacation next week. I just told Calvin this morning, last Friday night, I just told me and my wife was talking, I need a break. I'm not doing what I should be doing right now because I am tired, stressed. Even all of us get tired. And so talk to my boss, hey, I'm going on vacation next week. So just taking that time and sometimes just taking a break to get away. And I always tell a lot of my friends, a lot of my workers when I talk, if something happens to you and you're not here tomorrow, you're going to be replaced. But if you don't take care of yourself, you're going to be replaced by someone else, right? Eventually. So the key thing is to make sure we're taking care of our mental health, making sure we're taking care of ourselves. And I love Josh Rizzo's saying, take care of the pilot, making sure we get everybody home safe at the end of the day. And I just love that.
It's a great visualization. I think we can all rally around that because we've all been on a plane and we know what that means. And it's a great way to think about that subject. So thanks for sharing that. That's really great.
And I don't know how many times we've heard Josh say, you got to love yourself before you can love others.
Right.
And he's very passionate. And I've been in, I don't know, probably 50 to 100, between 50 and 100 of his programs. And he always tells that story. You got to love yourself before you can love somebody else, and to learn yourself. And it's so important. And, the other thing too, Brad, is, we're talking about mental health, for our people out on our job sites, make sure you get to know your people.
Yeah.
Get to know the people that are out there, and you will know if they come into work and they're a little off that day. Go over and put your arm around them. Say, man, you okay? Because it goes a long ways.
Yeah, the worst thing we can do is just treat them like another hard
that's right.
Because they're not another hard hat. There's a
No.
person under that hard hat.
I tell everybody, we're just one big family.
That's right.
Is what we are. And we want everybody to go home, because mental health is something that's out there, and it's a struggle for everybody at one time or another
Right.
in your life.
To add to your airline analogy, there's a reason, every single time you get on a plane, and I do try to listen. I really do. I mean, just
Mhm.
out of respect for that person that's standing up there giving the message. I mean, I've heard it, oh my gosh, thousands of times in my career, but you got to show that respect because uh, two things. One, you need to be prepared for any situation because nobody thinks it's going to happen to them
Mhm.
until it does. And that's the same with a lot of, no one thinks they're going to go out on that job site and fall today, right? But if you were prepared and you went through the training and you put on the right tools, and then also with that, there's a reason they tell you in that safety training to put your life jacket on first and put the air on you first because
Right.
you can't save anyone else on that plane if you don't take care of yourself first.
Absolutely.
So I think that all ties together. Well, thank you both for being here today. I mean, this is exciting for me because Chad, we appreciate you taking the time to come and talk about a subject you're very passionate about, and hopefully everyone else in the industry is passionate about. But also for us, having our first guest outside of the organization be on the podcast, so that was a big deal for us, and I think such a timely topic to talk about. So appreciate both of you being here today and taking the time out of your busy schedules to talk about this. And we appreciate all of you for watching Building Smarter Projects. Please be safe today.